Growing up with an immigrant father from Mexico and a mother from Wisconsin, our household was rich with culture and traditions from two very different places. I grew up learning Spanish and being connected to my Mexican heritage and connected to being American. I always loved having two different cultures, but as I grew up and went to college, identity issues started to arise. There is a bias in being from two different cultures. I'm always asked, "What are you?" or mistaken for being an ethnicity that I'm not. I started to hear and feel more that I was too American and not Mexican enough to fit in. As my college years went on, I found a way to express who I am without care for what others might say. I thank my parents for always reminding me that being who I am and authentically myself is never wrong, and I'm grateful to have the support of my sister and brother walking alongside me in everything I do. I am a proud Mexican American and passionate about advocating for everyone to show up as their authentic selves. College gave me the space to find my voice and speak up about my experiences because they do matter. My dad always told me growing up to fight the fight, and I plan to do so every day because fighting for my passion and having my voice heard is a fight I don't plan to give up on.
Imagine a world where you show up and you work hard and you prove you can get the work done, and yet you are still behind. You can only go so far. This is the reality for many women in the large corporate legal world. At 17 years old, I researched lack of women in government roles and legal positions in my senior thesis class. The realization of the results I discovered, the stories of women currently working in the profession, and the bias and standards they were subjected to really set in for me. This was truly a turning point for me and the view I had of the world and the legal profession I have hopes of entering one day. In 2023, women made up 56.25% of all ABA-approved law schools, meaning that more than half of the law school student population identify as women, and yet, in large corporate law firms, women make up 21% of managing partner positions and 22% of board of director positions. Women of color hold an even lower threshold, holding 4% of managing partner positions and 4% of board of director positions. These statistics beg the question of why. What is prohibiting women from advancing or receiving promotions at the same rate as their male colleagues? Some believe that women are just not as ambitious and that familial ties keep them from advancing. But why do we not subject men to these same biases? Some solutions have been tried, for example, diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, known as DEI. They're the frameworks that seek to promote the equal treatment and participation of all people. Many large corporate law firms have adopted these new DEI policies in order to promote a more inclusive work environment. Solutions like DEI aid in the current fight to close the gap, but broken systems do still prevail. Although DEI is a positive new practice, large corporate law firms are struggling to quantify the outcomes, and it is becoming a largely performative practice with no real basis for change. Unconscious bias, continually showing up in the workplace with no accountability, perpetuates the implicit stereotypes that create environments for women that keep them behind. And lastly, systems like the large billable hours model, which requires attorneys and lawyers to meet a certain amount of billable hours, is unattainable as is, and intentionally or not, it forces women to opt for less competitive areas of law and not be considered for promotions. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, an American lawyer and past Supreme Court justice, and someone I looked up to, once said that women belong in all the places decisions are being made. As a Mexican American woman, aspiring law school student, and practicing attorney, my passion for this cause is strong, and the urge to change the trajectory is vital, not only for myself, but for women who are like me. Now, the current landscape of the profession does beg for a complex solution. My proposed solution is not a one-size-fits-all, and more advocacy and research is needed in order to defeat the whole problem. With that being said, my proposed solution asks for large corporations, for example, Apple or McDonald's, to be held accountable when outsourcing their legal aid. Instead of outsourcing to large corporate law firms, they should instead outsource to women and minority-owned law firms. This would in turn give these women and minority-owned law firms the opportunity to work with these large corporations, amplifying their voices and their impact globally. By steering these large corporations to supporting women and minority-owned firms, we can be one step closer to creating a more inclusive work environment for everyone. Oftentimes, for women to be heard, we say that we need to create a better future for our daughters, sisters, and nieces. But women are not just daughters, sisters, or nieces. They are their own individual people, and I ask that you all see them as just that, people deserving of equal treatment. I do have hopes that one day we can tell our future generations that they can be whatever they want to be when they grow up, and we can actually mean it. Thank you.